took his campaign that he himself didn't think was going to go anywhere to the end of the Democratic campaign where he was within a breath of the Democratic nomination. Of course he's going to talk about that, and not just for himself, but for the people backing him.
Admiral Ken?
I started a workout routine about 2 weeks ago. I want to know what she took for stamina to stand there that long.
The better question is what she was smoking to keep the smile going.
We're sinking.
Yeah, but Bob Hines, the question has to be asked though. Looking, I saw the event, and looking at Bernie Sanders. I mean, did Bernie Sanders, was that the right time to really spout out, hey, we almost kicked your butt, but I guess I got to swallow this pill? Was this a bad timing for him to pull that, or was it exactly the right time?
Well, I think it would have been better if he had done it a couple hours before he did it. He walked in and took a look at a mirror and said it, God, I'm all pissed off. And then let it stay right there.
Alan Moore?
He should have done this 6 or 8 weeks ago. As we've said around this table, he created ongoing, lingering problems for her. He continued to push. He refused to endorse. He continued to be critical, directly and indirectly, and said things that both before and after that the Republicans will use. This came late. It came up a little short, which was the only point I was trying to make before, and yet he was trying to say she basically embraced my my ideas,
I'm going to say it twice. Alan
and she
is
didn't.
right.
Okay, Denise has said that Alan is right. Okay, Dan Littner.
Now, the bigger thing with Bernie Sanders, and this has been percolating on the left for a while, even those who don't like Bernie, and I have no issue, I had no issues with Bernie. Bernie's people I had plenty of issues with. But Bernie Sanders himself I had no issues with until later on. And this is the issue that's percolating on the left. Bernie Sanders did a remarkable grassroots movement outside of the Democratic establishment, which is even more amazing than outside the Republican establishment, considering how things were laid out. And the fact that he's played this out and slow-walked from when he's clearly no longer going to be the nominee and no longer using this machine that he has built for something useful. Over the last 4 weeks, the Sanders campaign has been spending an enormous amount of energy on the party platform. Around this table, I will simply ask a question amongst everyone. 4 years ago, can anyone remember anything that was in the either Democratic or Republican Party platforms? I'm going to go on an outlier and say the answer is no. With the only occasion when some kind of nonsense piece ends up in the party platform, which thankfully the Republicans are showing to have nonsense in their platform floating up. But other than that, the platform means nothing outside of inside baseball.
Alan Moore?
So in answer to Dan's question, I would have said yesterday or a week ago, I would have said, nope, I don't remember. The only reason I remember now is because as these platforms have emerged on both sides, we're reminded of what it said before. It's like, oh, really?
That was a platform?
They used to say that?
That was a platform?
And then it says this now? That's kind of stupid. Now, one thing, though, that platforms can do
It's caused trouble.
That's exactly right.
And the Republicans, it seems to me, from the way the platform seems to be
Porn
going,
is the problem to all of our problems.
is they've thrown some more ammunition out.
Well, we'll talk
to
about the
Democrats.
Republicans here in a few minutes, but going back to the Democrats real quick, because this is an issue though. Bob Hines, when we look at the deal, apparently the deal to get Bernie to endorse Hillary in such a public way as he did today-ish, was the fact that there were certain concessions that the party had to make to drive the quote-unquote platform to the left of where it might have been going into Philadelphia. Is this a victory for Bernie Sanders?
Well, if he wants to call it one, let him call it. I mean, I don't think it's going to make any difference.
Wow, that's it? That's it? Wow. I thought there would have been a little bit more discussion about that.
It makes a difference.
No, I mean,
in fairness to Bernie, he did get the platform committee with obviously Clinton and her folks' blessing to embrace, if you will, a $15 an hour minimum wage somewhere out in the future. So, but the fact that $15 an hour now appears in the platform, that would not have happened, but for Bernie Sanders. She made a couple of concessions. She made some concessions on the cost of public higher education, on community mental health, on community health centers, and embracing a public option in healthcare. Those are not trivial. Those are not nothing. It's not a sea change,
right,
as Bernie would like to think it, because it's platform language. But she has come along willingly, and so it's not just platform. It's also apparently Secretary Clinton herself, who has, she walked away from the big trade agreement that she used to embrace. Over the course of the campaign, she made changes in response to the reactions that Bernie Sanders was getting.
But the bigger takeaway from that is, and Alan's absolutely right, all those items that were, and you stole my line there, Alan, but that's okay. But the bigger takeaway from that is Bernie could have had...
It frightens me, but go ahead.
Bernie could have had all of those things, but also handled it politically better. And that's the real tragedy. And as is frequently the case on lots of things on the left, the wanting to yell and fight at the palace gates and then forgetting there's a certain level of politics that happens behind closed doors. And what Bernie has successfully done is, it seems clear to me, that 2 years from now, once President Clinton is in office, that Bernie will be forgotten. Some of those promises will be there, but he could have had a much bigger seat at the table than he's going to have.
Interesting. But there's the gift that keeps on coming to the RNC reared its ugly head today when Attorney General Loretta Lynch was called before the Judiciary Committee, and Chairman Goodlatte pretty much came out and said, "Ha, this isn't dead yet." Hillary's got herself a little problem when it comes to the email scandal, particularly with the Judiciary Committee calling on the U.S. Attorney in the District of Columbia to investigate further the fact that could she be charged with lying? It should be investigated that she may have lied during a federal investigation. That's an issue.
Under oath
to Congress and under oath to the FBI. Or, I'm sorry, not under oath, but to the FBI as a part of her interview. Go ahead.
But I don't think
Denise
that's how the Republicans are going to play this game. I think the Republicans are going to play the game that Ken brought up last week, which is the security clearances. They're going, if she wins, they are probably at Senate confirmation time will say, were you involved in those emails? Did you email Senator Clinton using her personal email account? If so, why did you do that? That's what's going to drag this out. They're also going to make sure that the two women that are closest to her never get security clearances, because if they do, the blowback will be so significant that they'll have problems.
Well, Speaker Paul Ryan, Republican from Wisconsin, Speaker Ryan late last week sent a letter to the Department of State, or to Department of State Security and Defense Security Services, saying that the intel community should not be giving her the intel briefings as the candidate because she's already demonstrated, well, quite frankly, she can't handle confirmation. The intel community's come back and said, thanks, but no thanks, we're still going to give her the briefing, she's the candidate. Go ahead, Dan, Admiral Ken.
So a few weeks ago, I was back out in Texas in my cigar haunt there, and we were having this conversation. And one of my pals asked me, do you think that she's going to get indicted? And my answer was yes. And everybody lost their minds. And I says, wait a minute, hold on. Okay, so do I think she's going to get indicted, in a court of law? No, I think she's going to get indicted in the court of public opinion, and by all means, I think that's happening to a large extent, which is why I think you're seeing Congress react the way that they're reacting.
Go ahead, Dan Lippner, then Alan Moore.
So one of the things I said a while ago, and that without question, this has done harm to Senator Clinton. However, Secretary Clinton. However,
Both are correct.
the question is whether or not the Republicans will overreach. And the dragging this out even further, you have what I consider the bulletproof director of the FBI, Director Comey, saying that there was enough there to pursue criminal prosecution, and Loretta Lynch following his recommendation. The idea of taking this further, just politically by itself, going just beyond themselves, politically by itself, it's hard for me to see who is converted other than those who are already in the choir.
Alan Moore.
Yeah, so I wasn't sure where Dan was going to go with the emails because he's been completely misreading the importance of the emails from the beginning when
I said there was going to be no indictment.
When he and the absent Al said this is a 1 week story, that was many months ago.
I didn't say this. I would never say this 1 week story.
You said it was a non-issue.
My words would be there is no there.
You said it was a red herring.
There is no there in red herring.
So and it will go and it will disappear, and it lingers and lingers. Here's the important issue right now. Notwithstanding, if you were a member of Secretary Clinton's staff and were part of this chain, good luck ever getting a security clearance again in your life and getting a job that would require
You won't get one.
And that's really sad. She would have, if this had come out in a timely way, and if she weren't the Secretary of State, but were even the Deputy Secretary of State, she would have lost her security clearance and lost her job. And what she now gets is a pathway to a promotion. That's pretty strange, and that's America. But the thing that
I
you
trust
have
the American people, unlike Al.
Alan, Congressman Al's not here.
But the thing that you have to pay attention to here, which we should not be dismissive of. She did not testify before the FBI under oath,
Right.
and it was a weekend before he finally came out and reported.
But she can't lie to the FBI.
She can't lie
That's
to
a
the
crime.
FBI. There is no reason to believe she did lie to the FBI because by the time she finally spoke to the FBI, it was common knowledge that there were confidential emails out there, so on and so forth. Here's her problem, potentially. She did testify months ago under oath to the Congress. Did she lie when she testified under oath to the Congress? That's the question that had to be formally asked of the Justice Department and the FBI, and it was this week. They will go back. They have all this information about what was said. They will now have to go reevaluate what she said under oath and whether that provides a basis for criminal charges. She's not free and clear of that. She is just not.
Denise Crap.
She also can't control two different cases that are happening right now. There was a Marine that used his personal email address to warn other Marines coming into theater about a individual that was dangerous. And after he used his personal email address and he sent classified material, the military started proceedings against him. That has come up, and that was highlighted in the Washington Post, and they're saying, wait a second, she may possibly become the President of the United States. I am being kicked out of the Marines.
We talked about this last week.
We did.
So we've got this issue. That didn't take long. And then there were several op-eds written by lawyers. So she cannot control all the lawyers who are representing people that are being kicked out for offenses less than what she did. So this is not something that's going to end after the
Dan
election. This
Lipner?
is going to continue.
No. Facts matter on this. So, and Petraeus, who not Petraeus, excuse me, Comey, but in response, when talking about what was done was not done, and one of the phrases Director Comey used was "need to know," and there was no issue at all. Secretary Clinton absolutely needed to know the information that was had. Now, in contrast, General Petraeus was talked about frequently as far as, well, this is identical to what he did. Absolutely not. Petraeus basically went to his mistress and said, his then biographer, eventually mistress, said, "Here, this might help you with your